The armor that rejected all. The stories began as whispers among the stars, tales of an ancient relic of impossible power that rejected all who sought to claim it. The void armor, as legend named it, was said to grant its wearer strength beyond measure, the ability to manipulate gravity itself, and protection from all known weapons in the galaxy. For centuries, warriors from 1,000 worlds had sought it, and for centuries, all had failed. On the remote planet Nexus 7, deep within a massive ancient temple built into the side of a mountain, the armor waited. The planet's harsh atmosphere and unpredictable magnetic storms kept casual visitors away, but those determined enough still came. Bodies of would-be claimants littered the approach to the temple, some fresh, others nothing but bone and dust. Admiral Jalos of the Galactic Coalition stood before the massive stone doors of the temple, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming in the dim light of Nexus 7's distant sun. Behind him, 20 of his finest warriors waited, each armed with the most advanced weapons the Coalition could produce. The armor has rejected the strongest warriors of the Drakai Empire. He clicked to his second-in-command. It burned the flesh from the bones of the Century champions. It drove the telepathic Mithra insane. But we are different. We are evolved. We will succeed where others have failed. The doors, untouched for centuries, groaned open at his approach. The temple beyond was vast, its walls covered in strange, swirling patterns that seemed to move in the corner of one's vision. At its center, suspended in a beam of light that had no visible source, hung the armor. It was beautiful and terrible to behold, not quite solid, as if made from captured starlight and solidified darkness. It shifted and changed as they watched, never quite settling on a single form. The Admiral approached slowly, mandibles twitching with anticipation. "At last," he whispered, reaching out with one clawed hand. The moment his flesh touched the surface of the armor, there was a flash of blue-white light. The Admiral's scream echoed through the chamber as his body disintegrated, leaving nothing but ash that scattered across the stone floor. His warriors fled in terror, their fear overriding years of military discipline. The armor remained, waiting. Thousands of light years away, Lieutenant Maya Chen sat in the cramped cockpit of her scout ship, the Pathfinder, nursing a cup of synthetic coffee and scanning the sensor readouts with bleary eyes. Her mission was simple: chart the anomalies in Sector 47B and report back to Earth Command. Standard procedure, nothing exciting. "Just a few more readings and we can head home," she told the ship's eye companion, ECHO. "Sensors are detecting unusual energy signatures from the fourth planet in this system," ECHO replied. "Source unknown. No match in database." Maya frowned. "Put it on screen." The display flickered to life, showing a small rocky planet with a thin atmosphere. Nexus 7, according to the star charts. Unremarkable except for a single point on its surface that pulsed with energy unlike anything she'd ever seen. "That's odd," she murmured. "Let's take a closer look." "Caution advised," ECHO said. "Historical records indicate 17 documented expedition losses on this planet." Maya's curiosity was piqued. 17. Why haven't I heard of this place? Most records classified. Access restricted. She made her decision. "Well, now I have to check it out. Plot a landing course, ECHO. Let's find out what's worth dying for on this rock." The Pathfinder descended through Nexus 7's turbulent atmosphere, buffeted by strong winds and electromagnetic disturbances that played havoc with the ship's systems. Maya guided it down manually, relying on instinct and years of training to compensate for the failing instruments. She landed a kilometer from the energy source, which her scanners now identified as emanating from a massive structure built into the mountainside. Donning her environmental suit, she stepped out onto the planet's surface, the gravity slightly lighter than Earth's, making each step feel bouncy and uncertain. "Keep the engines warm, ECHO," she said. "If I'm not back in 3 hours, leave without me and send the coordinates to command." "Acknowledged. Exercise caution, Lieutenant." The approach to the temple was littered with evidence of previous expeditions. Abandoned equipment, vehicles partially buried in the rust-colored soil, and more disturbingly, remains that didn't appear human. Maya cataloged everything with her suit's camera, her unease growing with each step. The massive stone doors of the temple stood open, as if inviting her in. Beyond them, darkness waited. Maya activated her suit lights and stepped inside. The temple was vast, its architecture unlike anything she had ever seen, with impossible angles and surfaces that seemed to bend space around them. The walls were covered in strange, flowing script that her translator couldn't decipher. As she moved deeper into the structure, she felt a strange sensation, almost like being washed. "Isicho, are you picking up any life signs?" she asked via comm. Static was her only answer. She was on her own. In the central chamber, Maya found what all those who came before her had sought. The armor hung suspended in a beam of light, shifting and changing as she watched, never quite settling on a single form. It was beautiful, mesmerizing, and terrifying all at once. "What are you?" she whispered, approaching slowly. A voice responded, not in her ears but directly in her mind. "I am void. I am protection. I am weapon." Maya froze. "You're alive." "I am more than alive. I am purpose." She should have been frightened, but instead she felt a strange sense of calm. "Why are you here?" "Waiting. For the right one." Maya studied the armor from a safe distance, remembering the legends she'd heard as a child about magical objects that granted wishes, but always with a terrible price. All these others who came before me, what happened to them? They were not compatible. They were rejected. And what happens if I touch you? That depends on you. Every logical part of Maya's mind screamed at her to turn around, to leave this place, and never return. But something deeper, more instinctual, pushed her forward. Slowly, she removed her glove and reached out with her bare hand. The moment her fingertips touched the surface of the armor, time seemed to stop. She felt a presence in her mind, ancient and powerful, sifting through her memories, her fears, her hopes and dreams. It was invasive but not painful, curious but not malicious. "Human," the voice said, with what almost sounded like surprise. "You are acceptable." The armor flowed like liquid, wrapping around her body, conforming perfectly to her form. For a moment, panic gripped her as the environmental suit dissolved, but she realized with shock that she could breathe normally. The armor had become a second skin, lighter than she expected, warm and almost comforting. What are you doing?" she gasped. "Bonding. It has been long since I found one worthy to bear me." Before Maya could ask more questions, an explosion rocked the temple. Dust and debris rained down as part of the ceiling collapsed. Through the newly created opening, she saw ships descending from the sky. Sleek, predatory vessels, unlike any human craft she had seen before. "The Vexenar," the armor's voice said in her mind. "They have hunted me across the stars for millennia. They seek to destroy me. And now you." "Why?" Maya asked, already running toward the temple exit, moving with a speed and grace that shouldn't have been possible. "Because they fear what we might become together." Outside, 3 ships had landed, and armored figures were emerging. Tall, muscular beings with 4 arms and reptilian features. They carried weapons that hummed with energy, and when they spotted Maya, they opened fire without hesitation. Maya raised her arms instinctively to shield herself, expecting pain. Instead, the energy bolts dissipated harmlessly against the armor surface. Knowledge flowed into her mind, not her own, but the armor's, showing her how to fight back. She focused on one of the attackers, and somehow she could feel the gravity around him. With a thought, she increased it tenfold. The Vexenar warrior crashed to the ground, pinned by his own multiplied weight. Another thought, and she reversed the effect on herself, becoming nearly weightless as she leaped 20 meters into the air, landing behind another attacker. The battle was brief and one-sided. Maya, who had never been in combat outside of training simulations, moved with the precision and power of a seasoned warrior. The armor guided her, its ancient knowledge flowing through her mind, showing her techniques and abilities she never knew existed. When the last of the Vexnar fell, Maya stood among them, breathing heavily not from exertion, but from the sheer exhilaration of what she had done. "Who are they?" she asked the armor. "Why do they want to destroy you?" "They are the descendants of those who imprisoned me here. They fear what I represent, power they cannot control. And what do I represent? Hope, potential, a new beginning." Maya looked up at the sky, where more Vexnar ships were appearing as distant points of light. "We need to get back to my ship." As she ran, faster than any human had right to move, Maya felt her life changing irrevocably. She had come to Nexus 7 as a scout, an explorer. She would leave as something else entirely, a warrior, a fugitive, and perhaps, if the legends about the armor were true, one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. The Pathfinder was where she had left it, its systems now recovered from the electromagnetic interference. She climbed aboard, the armor still clinging to her like a second skin. "ECHO, we need to leave. Now. Set course for the nearest Coalition outpost. Lieutenant, my sensors are detecting an unknown entity aboard. Are you compromised?" Maya looked down at her hands, encased in the shifting, star-like material of the void armor. "No, ECHO. I'm more than I was before, and we have a lot of work to do." As the Pathfinder lifted off, pursued by the first of the Vexnar vessels, Maya felt the weight of destiny settling on her shoulders. The armor had chosen her, a human, when it had rejected countless other beings from across the galaxy. She didn't yet understand why, but she knew that the answer to that question would change everything. For her, for humanity, and for the entire galaxy. The chase had only just begun. The human who changed everything. The Pathfinder streaked through space, engines straining as it navigated the dense asteroid field at speeds that would have been suicidal without the assistance of the void armor. Behind them, 3 Vexnar pursuit craft followed, their weapons periodically lancing out with beams of destructive energy. "They're gaining on us, Lieutenant," ECHO announced, its artificial voice somehow conveying urgency. "Hull integrity at 64%. And falling." Maya stood in the center of the cockpit, eyes closed, feeling the strange connection between herself, the armor, and the ship's systems. Reroute power from life support to shields. "The armor will keep me alive. I can do more than that," the voice of the armor whispered in her mind. Maya felt a surge of energy as the armor extended its influence into the ship's systems. Displays flickered, then stabilized with new configurations she didn't recognize. The engine's pitch changed, deepening as they somehow extracted more power than their design should have allowed. "What did you do?" she asked, watching as the distance between them and their pursuers began to increase. "I optimized. Your technology is primitive, but adaptable." A warning klaxon sounded as one of the Vexnar ships managed to score a direct hit on their port stabilizer. The Pathfinder lurched violently, spinning out of control. "Emergency thrusters offline," ECHO reported. "Crash imminent." Maya reached out with her mind through the armor, feeling the gravitational fields around the ship. With concentrated effort, she created a counterforce, a bubble of altered gravity that slowed their tumble and guided them toward a small, uninhabited moon orbiting a gas giant. The landing was rough but survivable. The Pathfinder skidded across the rocky surface before coming to rest against a cliff face, its hull breached in multiple places, but its core systems still functioning. "Damage report," Maya gasped, pulling herself up from the floor. "Multiple hull breaches. Life support at 12% capacity. Communications array destroyed. Engines non-functional," ECHO responded. "The good news is that the Vexnar ships have continued past us. They may believe we were destroyed in the crash. Or they're just regrouping," Maya said grimly. "We need repairs, and fast." For 3 days, Maya worked tirelessly to repair the Pathfinder, the armor enhancing her strength and endurance beyond normal human limits. She slept only when absolutely necessary, and even then the armor maintained a vigilant watch, alert for any sign of pursuit. On the 4th day, as she was recalibrating the communications array, a new ship appeared in orbit, not the sleek, predatory design of the Vexenar, but the familiar lines of a coalition diplomatic vessel. Unidentified craft. This is Admiral Thorix of the Galactic Coalition. We detected your crash landing and have come to investigate. Please identify yourself. Maya hesitated. The Coalition, while not openly hostile to Earth, had always maintained a condescending attitude toward humans, considering them a young, unproven species barely worth notice in galactic affairs. This is Lieutenant Maya Chen of Earth Fleet. I'm in a bit of a situation, Admiral. There was a pause before the response came. Lieutenant Chen, our scans are detecting an unusual energy signature from your location. Care to explain? Maya looked down at the armor, which swirled and shifted across her body like liquid starlight. It's complicated, sir. I may have found something that a lot of people are looking for. Another pause, longer this time. I'm coming down with a security team. Don't do anything rash. The Coalition shuttle landed 100 meters from the crashed Pathfinder. Admiral Thorix emerged first, a tall, gaunt humanoid with pale blue skin and eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. Behind him came 6 security officers, their weapons not drawn but clearly ready. Maya stepped out to meet them, the armor fully visible and flowing around her like a living thing. The security team immediately raised their weapons, but Thorix held up a hand to stop them, his eyes wide with what looked like shock. The void armor, he whispered. After all this time, and it chose a human. You know what this is? Maya asked, surprised. Thorix approached slowly, his movements careful and measured. Every senior officer in the Coalition knows the legends. The armor that could turn the tide of any war, that could grant its wearer power beyond imagination, and that rejected every being who tried to claim it. Until now, apparently. The Vexenar are hunting me, Maya said. They want to destroy the armor. Why? Thorix's expression darkened. Because they remember what it did to their ancestors. Come aboard my ship, Lieutenant. There are things you need to know, things that aren't in any human history books. Aboard the Coalition vessel, Maya learned the truth. The armor was not just a weapon, but a sentient relic created by an ancient race known as the Precursors, who had vanished from the galaxy millions of years ago. The Vexenar had once been their servants, tasked with guarding their technology, until they returned from a journey beyond the galactic rim. But the Precursors never came back, Thorix explained as they sat in his private quarters. After millennia of waiting, the Vexenar decided to claim the Precursor technology for themselves. The armor rejected them, violently. In their rage, they began destroying all Precursor artifacts they could find, determined that if they couldn't have the power, no one would. But why did it accept me? Maya asked. Thorix studied her thoughtfully. There are theories that the Precursors had a special connection to your species. Some even believe that they visited your planet in its early days, perhaps guiding your evolution in subtle ways. The genetic markers might be faint after millions of years, but they could still be there, buried in human DNA. Before Maya could process this revelation, alarms blared throughout the ship. Admiral to the bridge. A voice called over the intercom. Vexenar war fleet detected entering the system. On the bridge, holographic displays showed dozens of Vexenar vessels dropping out of faster-than-light travel, their weapons already charging. They must have tracked the armor's energy signature, Thorix said grimly. We're outgunned and outnumbered. The lead Vexenar ship opened a communication channel. The face that appeared on screen was reptilian, with 4 yellow eyes that burned with fanatical intensity. Coalition vessel, this is War Commander Seth of the Vexenar Dominion. You harbor a human who has stolen Precursor technology. Surrender her immediately, or we will destroy your ship and everyone aboard." Thorix straightened, his diplomatic training evident in his calm response. "War Commander, we are on a peaceful mission. The human came to us for—" "You have 1 hour to comply," Seth interrupted, "or we attack." The communication ended abruptly. Thorix turned to Maya. "We cannot withstand their fleet. Perhaps if we explain that you found the armor by accident." "They don't care," Maya said, the armor's knowledge flowing through her mind. "They've been hunting it for millennia. They won't stop until they destroy it. And me." "Then what do you suggest?" Maya felt the armor pulsing against her skin, almost eager. "I fight." Thorix looked at her incredulously. "Against an entire fleet, even with the armor? That's suicide." "Maybe not," Maya said. "An idea forming. The armor can manipulate gravity. If I can get close enough to their command ship." The plan was desperate and dangerous. Maya would use a small shuttle to approach the Vexnar fleet, appearing to surrender. Once close enough to the command ship, she would unleash the armor's full power, creating a localized gravitational distortion that would hopefully disable their vessels without destroying them. "This is insane," Thorix said as they prepared the shuttle. "But I don't see another option. The Coalition cannot afford a war with the Vexnar. Not now." As Maya boarded the shuttle, Thorix handed her a small data crystal. "If you survive this, Lieutenant, this contains coordinates to Earth. I suggest your people prepare. Whether you succeed or fail today, the galaxy now knows that humans can wield precursor technology. That makes you both valuable and dangerous." The shuttle launched, a tiny speck against the vastness of space, heading directly toward the assembled Vexnar fleet. Inside, Maya communed with the armor, diving deeper into its capabilities than she had dared before. "You understand what must be done?" the armor asked. "I think so," Maya replied. "But it might kill us both. Death is preferable to falling into Vexnar hands. But I do not believe we will die today." As the shuttle approached, the Vexnar ships formed a perimeter, weapons trained on the small craft. War Commander Seth's voice crackled over the comm. "Human, you will board our command vessel and surrender the precursor relic. Any deviation will result in the destruction of the Coalition ship and all aboard." Maya guided the shuttle into the designated docking bay, her heart pounding. The moment the shuttle touched down, she felt the armor tense, preparing. "Now," it whispered. Maya stepped out of the shuttle into a bay filled with armed Vexnar soldiers. War Commander Seth stood at their head, his yellow eyes burning with hatred. "At last," he hissed, "the blasphemy ends today." Maya raised her hand slowly, feeling the gravity around her, around the ship, around every particle of matter within her reach. "You're right about one thing," she said quietly. "Something ends today." With a thought, she released the armor's full power. Gravity itself bent to her will, crushing some sections of the ship while making others weightless. Vexnar soldiers flew helplessly through the air, or were pinned to the floor, unable to move. Maya walked calmly through the chaos, the armor protecting her from the effects of her own power. She reached the bridge where Seth had retreated, and found him attempting to initiate the ship's self-destruct sequence. "I will not allow the relic to leave this ship," he snarled as she entered. Maya gestured, and Seth was lifted from the floor, suspended in the air by her gravitational control. "Why do you hate it so much?" she asked. "What are you really afraid of?" "The prophecy," Seth spat, "that when the armor found its true bearer, the precursors would return, that their judgment would fall upon us for our failure." Maya felt the armor's confirmation in her mind. There was truth to his words. "And what if they do return? What if that's not something to fear?" "You know nothing, human. The precursors were not benevolent creators, but harsh masters. Their return would mean the end of our freedom." With a sudden surge of strength, Seth broke free of her gravitational hold and lunged at her with a hidden blade. The armor reacted instantly, hardening to deflect the blow. Maya focused her power, creating a gravitational field so intense that the blade shattered, along with the bones in Seth's arm. The war commander fell to his knees, defeated. "Kill me," he growled. "It is what they would do." Maya shook her head. "That's the difference between us. I'm not them, and I'm not you." She turned away, using the armor to access the ship's communication systems. "This is Lieutenant Maya Chen to all Vexnar vessels. Your commander is defeated. Stand down or share his fate." For a tense moment, there was silence. Then, one by one, the Vexnar ships powered down their weapons. In the aftermath, as coalition peacekeepers took control of the Vexnar fleet, Admiral Thorix approached Maya on the observation deck of his ship. "The Council will want to speak with you," he said. "This changes the balance of power in the galaxy." Maya looked out at the stars, feeling the armor's presence like a comforting embrace. "It changes everything. But first, I need to go home. Earth needs to know what's coming." "And what is coming, Lieutenant?" She turned to face him, the armor swirling around her with newfound purpose. "Change. The precursors chose humans for a reason. We're adaptable, resilient, unpredictable. Those might be exactly the qualities needed for what lies ahead." "And the armor? Will you keep it?" Maya smiled slightly. "I don't think that's up to me anymore. We're bonded now. Where I go, it goes. And I have a feeling we're going very far indeed." As the coalition ship set course for Earth, Maya stood alone, considering the weight of destiny that now rested on her shoulders. The armor had chosen her, a human, when it had rejected the greatest warriors of 1,000 worlds. Whatever that meant, whatever challenges awaited, she would face them not just for herself, but for all humanity. The stars streaked past as they entered faster than light travel, carrying with them a human who had changed everything, and the ancient power that had chosen her above all others. The galaxy would never be the same again.